music that cries for help and unity. Taleshis are passionate about their traditional songs. Taleshi music is the nation's classical music. It represents the feelings and emotions of a hard-working and enduring people. The music of the nation has been suppressed, however, throughout the centuries by Islam. The old melodies that remain cry for help and unity. Even though Taleshis are now Muslims, they hold fast to their traditional culture, including music. Their music has helped them to live in unity despite the heavy pressures of Muslim rulers. I believe that many, if not most, Taleshis have become Muslims to placate Muslim rulers. If they profess even a nominal Muslim faith, they are able to protect their cultural values from complete eradication. This is what I witnessed after the Islamic Revolution. The Taleshis were the last tribe to stand faithful to the kingdom of Persia, and still many of them desire that Iran be led by a Persian king, a king who will protect their values and their culture under the democratic creeds proposed long, long ago by Cyrus and Darius, the great Persian rulers. The Islamic Republic of Iran has been so cruel and so vicious to my people, yet it has not been able to completely erase their cultural foundations. Music also plays a vital role in the ritual of courtship. The Taleshi springs and summers are the seasons of poetic and romantic songs. All Taleshi songs are poems. This is a clue that the Taleshi people are an exceedingly romantic people by nature. Young men and women of Talesh normally fall in love in the spring and summer as they seem to do everywhere else in the world. The fascinating melodic beauty of spring and summer excites the senses after long, dreary winters. Eyes sparkle with youthful exuberance while the fresh scent of grass, flowers, hay, and spring rain captures the fragrance of new life. It's an easy time to sing songs and write poems since there is a fresh beauty everywhere. Unfortunately, Islam has limited the ability of lovers to express themselves to one another and has made it nearly impossible for young men and women to know each other before marriage. The degree to which relationships are limited prior to marriage depends largely on whether or not the country is ruled by fundamentalist Muslims or a nominal government body. Rigid Islamic rules make it extremely difficult, even dangerous, for a young woman to have a discussion or even be seen in public alone with a young man who is not a relative. A young woman seen in public with a man that is not her husband or relative can be tortured or stoned to death. Taleshi girls and boys had far more freedom to speak to one another before the Revolution of Iran in 1979, despite the long presence of Islam in the region. Post-Islamic Revolution boys and girls were forced to resort to communicating through body language and eye contact. This was still risky because it broke Islamic law and could pose a serious threat, especially for girls. If a boy and a girl fell in love, the only way for them to see each other was through clandestine meetings if they dared. Islam caused them to keep romantic conversations secret, even from their own families. Young people had to create opportunities and be creative in their excuses as they sought to engage their beloved. They would seek each other out in work situations, work areas, or chance meetings in the street. Being sent to fetch water from the spring was a wonderful opportunity to meet someone, as was going out to collect wild berries. Bumping into someone and pretending to help gather their belongings from off the pavement was also a favorite and relatively safe sport for socializing between young men and women. Many mothers within fundamentalist families realize the pressure placed on their children by Islam and are willing to arrange secret opportunities with friendly families in order to pave the way for their children's future marriages. This is generally not approved by the fathers of such families and can prove to have dire consequences if a father becomes wise to the matchmaking schemes of his wife. The greatest punishment would be reserved for the daughter who would be considered defiled in the eyes of Islam and no longer fit for marriage or even to live. Because of the fear created by Islam, a majority of marriages are arranged by parents. Young couples do not know each other before marriage. If a boy and a girl fall in love with each other, it is typically expected for the girl to express her interest in the boy to her mother directly or indirectly through one of her sisters or female relatives or friends. The mother will then speak to her husband to determine his response. Then she will convey the father's acceptance or rejection. Likewise, the young man will also make his feelings known to his mother, so she in turn can seek his father's approval. If the boy's father favors such a relationship, he will send 2 or more messengers to the girl's father to gain official permission for the young woman's hand in marriage. If the messengers receive a positive response, an engagement ceremony will be arranged at the young woman's family's home, where the dowry will also be established. Several months to a year later, a marriage celebration is held at the boy's father's house. The girl is then taken to reside in the home of the boy's family. Marriage celebrations can last anywhere from 3 to 7 days, depending on the boy's father. Musicians are hired to perform and sing at these celebrations if fundamentalist Muslims are not around. It has not been easy for Islam to impose itself fully on the Iranian people because they're so strongly attached and deeply in love with their Persian heritage. People have learned to take back some of their traditions gradually and secretly to preserve their cultural values despite Islam's contrary demands. The Iranian people's powerful and subversive agendas have exhausted even the most zealous and cruel religious dictators and in some cases forced religious leaders to lighten the hand of oppression. This lightening was not out of compassion, but purely from the Iranian struggle for their cultural rights. Despite 1,400 years of Islamic influence in Persia, no religious leader has been able to stop Iranian people from enjoying music. At the beginning of the revolution, rigid Muslim judges ordered the religious guard to destroy musical instruments. Some were centuries old. However, despite these setbacks and attempts by Islamic extremists to squash music, the love of Iranians for their music persisted. This persistence exhausted even the grand leader Ayatollah Khomeini, and as a result he finally had no choice but to remove some of the restrictions on music. Music is a life force for the Iranian people.